let's talk about chakra. Naruto. Off the bat, let's talk about the creativity of chakra. Let's talk about, do you enjoy the way it looks, the various different ways in which chakra was applied? How does it sit with you guys?
Chakra is like the all-encompassing umbrella, but when you break it down, it's all about sexy eyeballs, summons, sage power, tailed beasts, all that. It's just like spun madly out of control from like the first 20 episodes where they went from the Zubzuba arc. It just ended like so distant from where it began. Originally, it was just swords and shurikens. If they didn't have the chakra part, it would just suck ass. But the magic ninja kids is just kind of what makes it work.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you feel like they like took it too far? They didn't put enough limitations on it. I mean, there's some good parts of it, like isolated moments of excellence, but I think like as an overall, there's some big holes in it. I think it's all down to the fact that the main character basically has an infinite power scale. Everything else kind of has to follow suit. All the tailed beast stuff for me is like quite basic. Look nice, well drawn, but it's like quite a basic premise. But there's some very good things in there. Like I like the idea behind the Sharingan. I like that it's got some rules behind it. I like that it diminishes as you use it. Like there's some drawbacks and limitations to it. To get the infinite Mangekyu Sharingan, you have to take your brother's eyes. Like you have to work for it. So I like there's some aspects of it that I like a lot, but it's very creative. But there's a few holes here and there for me.
Jack, what's your top line on chakra?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's creative. It looks cool. They do it well, but in terms of consistency, I don't think it has much. You can pretty much do whatever you want with chakra. I think it's I wouldn't call it top tier, but it's thoroughly entertaining, but it doesn't have that tight rule set, that consistency throughout. And there is just this sort of, as with everything, this power creep where how much stronger and more ridiculous can you get, particularly when it got towards the end, when things were escalating wildly to the point where, like throwing meteors down was just like an entry move for some of these guys.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To get into the nitty-gritty, the philosophy, behind the power structure, right? It used to be Naruto, Rock Lee, like the losers that just didn't have that innate talent and ability, and it was hard work and dedication to grow your power, to build on your chakra, and to get those techniques down. And then at some point, it just faded away, and it was whoever had been given this God-given gift from birth had that stake, that claim to victory. And
it's actually like the opposite of what his fight with Neji is about, which is like decay of meaning, even of what the anime is about. You have your God-given talent. You're like, no, you don't. You couldn't work. But the whole point of Naruto is, yes, you can, and you do.
that level of bullshittery, man, because like all of the eyeball stuff, that was you're born with it. It doesn't matter how hard you work. Like if you wasn't born with that gene, then you're not going to ever be in that position to be this curb stomping god at the end of the day. Chakra is the broad umbrella, but when it comes down to like stuff like summons, where some of the characters are able to summon these giant kaiju beasts like monsters, like the frog, like the slug, like the snake, and it turned it into like these Godzilla-esque town stomping scale battles where they're looking down on the peasants. And then you've got stuff like the sage power, as Hassan said, like the tailed beasts. Like there's loads of like stuff that falls under the all-encompassing chakra tree.
There is a lot, and they do go completely wild with, which I think, if we're judging it on creativity and consistency, is great for creativity but awful for consistency. I mean, like Akatsuki, the move sets they had, just some ridiculous shit, and there was people being pulled to different dimensions by the end of it. But how do you explain that on a power structure? I don't know how it fits in. You've lost me at that point. You're just making shit up and saying, oh, he has mad specific chakra. And but it looks cool, and it is cool, and I liked that there was like an immortal guy and the guy that basically turned into a shark. That's cool shit, but it's not consistent.
Okay, do you know what? I feel like the first one's always the hardest because part of this tier list is to compare them against the others. But I think for now, let's put Naruto. What do you think on B? Chakra on B?
I'm feeling harsher, man. I'm feeling C too.
We'll tell you what. We can go lower. We can go lower, but once we start including others, then we can start dragging things down and pushing things back up again. All right, cool. So the second one, and probably the most controversial, is none other than Bleach. Now, I want to get everyone's kind of top line on Bankai. and then we're going to start getting into it, because my understanding is this is a very, very kind of stylized anime, right? Some say almost too stylized, but does the creativity outweigh the
Straight to the bottom, get it down there.
You're nuts.
Bottom
You're
of the
actually
list.
you're nuts, dude.
Get
The
it
whole
down
thing.
there.
Hassan, give your beef on Bleach. Tell me.
The main problem in Bleach, obviously, is scaling. In it, scaling Ichigo's power, it suffers the same problems as Naruto, but it's a lot worse in Bleach. I don't even think it's like creative to a point. There's like an upper limit on it. There's nothing like out of the ordinary. There's nothing in the moves that's ever like, oh, it's cool how you made X, Y, and Z work as an attack. Very basic, very teenage boyish. It's just like, here, have some swords. It's a shocker for me. Even it's a shocker. It's a shocker. Ichigo has all the powers of everything, and it doesn't even make sense to me. It's not, the payoff isn't enough for me. The move set lives and dies by, like, the power system lives and dies by the rules and the limitations on it. And in Bleach, there's none whatsoever. It's just a bunch of nonsense. There's even an item in that manga which makes your dreams come true, and it's like a plot. So we're going into some other stuff here, though. But like, even the existence of that for me is problematic when you're talking about the scale of things.
Can I tell you why you're wrong?
Go on.
let me first go into the creativity. So it's not all just bankais, man. There's like, you've got your Reiatsu, the base unit of power in Bleach, and it was the fat sword sickness. Not kind of beating the trope over the head with like, my key is bigger than your key, so I out and out win. It was like, the Reiatsu was cool. It was like the building blocks of the Quincy's attacks, and it wasn't quite just a power number. It's pretty unique to the balance of the world. Like, they had to kill the hollows to maintain the kind of the total net amount of Reiatsu or power within the universe, like on an entropic scale. Then you got the Kidos, which is like the extra sick magic spells to complement the swordplay. I don't care what Hassan says. Like the Black Coffin from my guy Aizen.
Oh
like,
wow, yeah.
So
Come on,
do you not
man.
feel that, like, say there was like maybe 10 types of characters fleshed out in the captains? Do you not feel every new group of people they introduced, they just fell into those same categories? Like, oh yeah, that's the lazy guy. Oh yeah, that's the science. It's fucking shit. That's a shit manga, man. I'm telling you. That's what they've done. And all the Quincy's they meet, everyone's categorized similarly to how the captains are, and everyone fights the person who's similar. It's just really stupid to me. It's like, cool,
because that doesn't happen in One Piece.
What you mean, like, there's the fat sleepy guy, the cool edgy guy, the humble nice guy.
Same characters basically,
the
like
sword
for
guy.
like. They've got the same characters like for like, fighting each other, introducing like a whole new bunch of characters, and they're basically the same. They're basically the same as the ones that came before them. Like the Aranka are basically the Spada, the same as the captains. They're just another. It's very.
Let's save judging the characters and story structure and all that bullshit.
No,
for later.
It's just they're the same. So that to me that's not a creative person. That's not like.
Oh, I see.
That's not a creative. That's not like, even for something that looks cool, it's not even that creative. I mean, it's got like 2 captains with ice. I don't even like that. It's like, there's other elements, you know. There's other elements that are at play here. Like, you need
there's more to it. There's more to it. We got Shikai and Bankai. Raph said about the Bankai, but you've got the smaller release as well, and it kind of gives that creative flair for the different types of powers that the swords can, like, shoot fireballs and turn into mini blades and loads of other cool stuff. Cool individualization of and characterization based on their spells and powers. Holification, that was nuts when Ichigo went like,
that was cool,
full sicko mode. Probably the best moments in the series, like versus Byakuya versus Ulquiorra, when he was like training to go full hollow, and then he murked Ishida Uryu in sicko mode. And then the least favorite power structure is probably the Fullbring, when he lost all his powers.
Very forgettable. My God, I've
only got Nazi powers.
I have no recollection of that even. Nazi powers.
Yeah, man. There was a chapter called Swastika Break. And he just got swastika powers. It's very strange.
Sounds progressive to me.
I mean, let's timestamp this bit, but doesn't the emblem of the swastika like have different meaning in the East?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't think he's meant to actually support. No, he's not meant to be a fascist. Although the end of the manga, the last arc, the bad guys are essentially Nazis. In the same way that they went with like the Spanish theme for the Aranca, they just thought, let's just do German and they can all be Nazis.
I did love the Aranca, the Spanish.
I love the Aranca.
The music.
Yeah.
That was good. It's not like a total bust, but it's just in the place where there's no rules going on. It's just like a chaos and it's a mess. Like that's not a system to me.
Is
that's
there
like
ever
an adequate power system?
So Hassan, is there ever a situation for you where something just looks so fucking good you don't even care? You don't care if like nothing makes sense. It just looks amazing, or you're just all about the rules, right?
From ranking the power system, it's all about the rules for me.
Okay.
There's no like it can look nice. Like the things I like in Naruto, like say, like in Naruto, I really like all of the moves, like the Izanagi and the Izanami. If you like go and read, like that's all from like Japanese folklore and like all like Shinto religion. So there's like, and it references back to that where. So there's not like, I'm not saying there's no value in it, but when I'm comparing it, when it's a part of a story for me, there needs to like, especially when when the story's living and dying by, like it's all just about people getting more powerful. Things have to make sense, otherwise it's just a nonsense. It's just a nonsense, and it doesn't really matter. Nothing really matters when the main guy can do whatever he wants every time, and you don't have to. He doesn't even have to show you why he can do it. He can just do it.
I think
for me.
His biggest misgiving for me is versus Aizen. Yeah, finishing out the Aizen saga, and then he's getting his face kicked in by Aizen, and then he goes through a tunnel, trains with his dad for like a couple of chapters, gets a new secret power, comes back out, and then just wins. And it's just so in the face of all of the training and character development and whatever else, and how he'd been honing his powers up to that point. And it was all just thrown away, and he just used a completely new power and won. And it was just it's the antithesis of execution in shonen anime power structures.
Yeah. So it sounds like we can all agree. You all seem to agree that this is probably one of the weakest in terms of rules, but in terms of how it looks like, do you think it, or like the creativity? Is it more iconic than Naruto? Is it more iconic than Chakra? Because I've heard some moves being mentioned, like the Black Coffin Hado number 90. It was. I remember. I recall one where was it? Mayuri, the scientist guy, like put someone in a stasis for like a millennia, and he has to like watch a sword go through his heart in slow motion over like a million years or some shit. Like these things are pretty iconic, and when you keep mentioning them, I keep thinking, oh man, that's amazing. Whereas Naruto, I think of the Sharingans as a classic, but everything else is like magic balls. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Like,
Naruto's got some iconic fights as well outside of the Sharingan. I think just even the Rock Lee fights, he has no chakra. They're some of the best fights in the whole thing, I think. But Bleach, if you judge Bleach on maybe the first couple arcs alone, if that was it, then you'd think this is cool, and you wouldn't know enough to realize that there's absolutely no power structural thought behind it. He's just drawing cool shit, and he has an explanation for why anyone's doing anything. He just thought it looked cool. But the longer you stay with it, the more it falls apart because of that, and the more you just think, yeah, he's got no fucking clue what he's doing here at all.
How does Ichigo? Like the longer I watched Bleach, the more clear it became to me that Ichigo would have never beaten Kenpachi in that moment.
Never ever have beat Kenpachi.
ever in his ever.
Shouldn't have come close.
No, it doesn't even. There's no explanations. That's just what the whole thing's like. Like where it gets to the point where he's so off the scales with this power structure that this big bad Aizen that he's written for like 700 episodes, he just has to arrest him and put him in jail. And just like, right, the powers are in that. It has like a negative impact on the whole narrative structure.
Agreed.
So it's like for me, it's like an A in creativity, but like a C in execution. Because it's so inconsistent and all over the place.
Is the whole scale A to C, or is there other things? Because the execution is the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, you think it's third level?
Third rank.
How to rank it is like something could be like absolute shit tier in terms of rules, but if it's so fucking beautiful, then maybe it pushes it up to a B or a C. Do you know what I mean? Like one has to compensate the other. You can't just completely limit. I know you value
No,
rules
to be honest, I
more than
would watch Bleach again just to watch the fights. It does look sick. I'm like, I can't deny that. They'll sometimes if I'm doing something, or I'm listening to music, I'll just put on some Bleach fights and watch them. They do look good.
AMV.
They do look
Classics.
good. So
okay, so where we're gonna put it?
Below Naruto for me. So
yeah,
I'd give it a C.
The thing is,
Okay.
if we're not giving Bleach
A trash rating.
a trash rating, then the trash rating I don't think can apply to anything else.
All right. Okay. So
This for me, it's the bottom
speak
of the
about.
barrel.
We did say Naruto should go down, so we've put Naruto C, and we're putting Bleach on trash tier for now. However, it can be saved. It can be taken out the gulag if we come to an epiphany later on in this discussion. Now, one of the criticisms of Bleach that Hassan made was like, "Oh, it's so obvious. The scientist guy is going to fight their scientist guy. Their sidekick guy is going to fight their sidekick guy." So, keeping that in mind, let's go on to One Piece.
Well, I'll just kick you off right here. In One Piece, the main character does not have the best move. The main character is made of rubber, we're in a world where other people are made of like lightning and darkness and smoke. So already off the bat, it's more creative storytelling to me than you haven't made him just straight away. He has the best move set. He has, and honestly, it's incomparable. Bleach to One Piece, incomparable.
For the unanointed, what is the power structure of One Piece?
Well, there's a couple. There's the devil fruits, which are magic fruits that give you some sort of power in exchange for losing the ability to swim. I've always thought it's very, very ridiculous. But, yeah, they're pirates, so it's a downside to them. And also Haki, which was introduced sort of halfway through, which is a whole different thing, which is, I'd say, closer to we've seen so far with Chakra and Ryatsu from Bleach, in that it's like a life energy, willpower type thing. So it's the two that's combined, and Haki's got rules. The devil fruits have some rules, but kind of anything goes. But I think it's a lot more creative than the last one we were talking about, Bleach, for sure.
It's like for me, it's the dichotomy of the two sides of the coin, because the devil fruits are like sick creativity. Like he's gone completely off the deep end, Oda, and just written in some insane batshit crazy powers, like fucking Candleman and Poison Gas Guy
anything
and whatever else. But then Oda seems to have lost his mind and maybe like bitched out and fell on the Haki route at like more than halfway through, and it just seems to be the easy thing to fall back on, like the more traditional power scaling and power structure.
So what is Haki? What and that's it? Is it so? It's another power structure introduced later on in One Piece?
It's almost like he's retconning the devil fruits, because like you can use Haki to nullify the effects.
It kind of makes
fruit.
the devil fruits pointless, basically.
I wouldn't say pointless. Like, he wrote himself into a corner with the devil fruits, where he thought, no matter how strong Luffy gets, how clever he is with his rubber powers, he's never going to be able to defeat like even a very strong Logia type devil fruit user, which is the type that essentially means it's like just if you turn into smoke or turn into fire and you can't be punched by anything. So he realized he had to level the playing field a little bit and make it so that people that don't have devil fruits have a way of fighting on par with the devil fruit users. And Haki made that work better, I think. I think it's a necessary retcon. And you can still have sick devil fruit power and rape people that have Haki. It's not like it took over. It works well in concert with the devil fruits.
I mean, if he was going to introduce something that nullifies all of his good like work that it did previously, he should have just wrote like a new manga about Catgirl samurais or something, and put Haki in that, and just left One Piece as this devil fruit like Marvel, to be honest.
Oh man.
No, I can't read it. Well, the thing is, I agree to a certain degree, just with like it does kind of make it a bit pointless, but there's parts of the Haki which I do like. Like I think he's it's not so intrusive that it actually takes over the whole. It's not like the be all and end all. Like the whole power system doesn't live or die by the fact that Luffy's got excellent Haki. But I think, but there's, I don't know. I've started using the word hacky just in my everyday parlance. Just when people, because it's like a good explanation for when people have like really strong charisma or like kind of willpower. But it's like you can see even outside in the real world when someone's got good hacky. So like it's not like, I don't think it's completely ridiculous. But like again, I don't think it's a problem. And I think just the fact that, you know, some people have got like powers of soap. There's like there's just the levels in between, even of the devil's fruits, the distinctions between like the 3 types and which one does what. It's too good, man. It's the most creative in terms of because everything else they're bringing you like things which are like obviously going to be cool. It's just like, yeah, he's got fire and he's got ice. And it's like there's things that are like bately gonna be very good. Yeah. But with One Piece, it's just like whatever. Like you could have a dustbin power, and if you know how to use it correctly, it's a good power.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting.
I think it's quite divisive, and it's just so imperfect that I guess you could fall on either side. Because for me, when I look at armament haki, right, when it was first introduced, and you saw like I think it was Sentomaru, and then you like knocking Luffy upside the head, and Luffy's like, why can this guy hurt me? Like just gives me a slap, and I feel like I'm gonna fucking die. That was pretty sick. But then later on, when they changed the animation style and they colored in people's arms black and looked like had like charcoal hands or whatever, I thought that looked kind of weird. But then admittedly it looks kind of sick when Zoro uses it on his swords and they go black. That kind of looks cool. Like the seeing into the future to predict attacks is kind of like, I don't know, it feels a bit cheap, because all it takes is for one guy to see slightly further into the future and then you win, and that's the trade. And I don't know if that's exciting story writing for a power structure or power system. And then lastly, Conqueror's haki, for me, it's like, you watch Doflamingo like about to have his family wrecked in front of him on like crosses, and it's like, oh shit, and he uses it and he knocks everyone out, and it's madness. Or Luffy trying to save Ace, and he like does it in this like super defining point in the story, and it's an absolute madness. But then when you've just got like an overpowered character, Luffy like going up to all these shitty cannon fodder fish guys, and he just
No, because I think it's like a bit of an equalizer, because it's not like other people don't have it, so it gets rid of the dross. So it's not like he just rolls in with his haki and everyone gets it. It's not. You're making it sound like it's going all the way to that extent, and it's not applied like that. Other people have haki as well, so I feel like it's more of it can act as just like not like a leveler. It can kind of it can like bring things down a bit, but I think the fact that everyone else also has haki and can use haki, it kind of like levels the playing field, so it's not quite as like egregious as like, oh yeah, I've got it, no one else does, to you later. I don't think it doesn't play out quite like that.
Yeah, all the top guys have Conqueror's hack, so it's just to get rid of you kind of Luffy fighting 10,000 soldiers with no powers before he gets the main pirate of the island. You can just knock those out with Conqueror's haki.
Just cuts through the fat.
Okay, so it seems like this is quite a popular one. A or B?
At least A.
At least A.
I'd say A. Yeah,
it's got to be A.
Is there an argument for S tier? Like, please let me know. Like, what do you think?
I don't think it holds up on consistency, because I think with anything that creative, it definitely has some issues with power scaling where it is now. To the point where you kind of know the Yonko is supposed to be a lot more powerful than Luffy and the Supernova, even though he's fighting them now. But there's so many rivals to that. You're always going to be a bit, I don't know, there's always going to be an upset, I think, and it's impossible to consistently judge how powerful people are. So
okay, cool.
Maybe not.
Also, where haki was introduced so late into the game as well, it kind of breaks some of the consistency, some of the lore from the earlier parts of the show. So the consistencies part is just slammed on its head, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna sit on A tier for now. Let's move on to the next one. Hunter x Hunter. Who wants to talk to me about the power structure in Hunter x Hunter?
Good luck describing that. Who's going to take?
Right, so you know Hunter x Hunter, right? If you go onto the wiki for One Piece and look up its power structure, or if you just look onto One Piece and look up haki, there's 1,300 words. If you go to Hunter x Hunter's Nen page, there's 15,000 words. That's One Piece's power structure is a tenth of the size, to be able to describe it compared to Nen in Hunter x Hunter. It's insane.
It's because X Hunter fans got more time on their hands because there are any chapters to read, so they just edit wikis.
Very good.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. No, but like really and truly, I can see why there's levels into the Nen. There's lots of levels to it. Like I think just off the bat, I think everyone will agree that's got to go S, number 1 S.
Wow.
Or thereabouts straight away. We're going to discuss it more, but it's by far and away the
very good.
I take your word for it, but I just want to a little caveat, a little something to flag. I hope we're not just rating what our favorite animes are here. Like we're
no.
attached to. Okay. So this is like an S. Wow, unbelievable. S tier. So it's deeply complex. But what is it? What does power look like?
For reference, like in One Piece, because it's kind of similar in that they have these wacky, creative, insane powers that can be absolutely anything. But in One Piece, where you literally get these powers by finding a magical fruit on the ground or wherever, or buying it, it's kind of cheap, and you just get that power, and that's kind of the be all end all. In Hunter x Hunter, like, the power you manifest is entirely based on you as a person individually. What your struggles are, what your lineage is, like who you are, what you faced, where you need to be, where the story needs you to be. Whatever madness is going on is kind of what derives your power.
Can anyone give me an example of like iconic power moves or like something that people can do? Like I'm trying to like visualize it.
Killer is probably a pretty good one. He spent his childhood locked in a basement being tortured over and over again. Like world-class assassins, this boy needs to toughen up. So they string him up, they poison him to get some resistance and immunity. They beat the shit out of him to kind of get that leather skin going, and then lastly they tase the shit out of him. They just electrify this 8-year-old kid just to get some thicker skin on him, and then so later he develops the mastery of controlling electricity, and then can like control the electrical signals for his body, like for his nervous system. He's a human taser as well as being able to move like instantaneously. Like so it's all from like his upbringing, you know.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds a bit like superhero origin kind of story. Like I've got so now I've got spider moves.
No, that's just like one example. There's that's just how that one plays out. So it's like it gives you like a good background for why his powers would develop as they do. But there's like all other ones. There's one which like it's basically like an insurance policy, and every time you get touched, it takes a little bit of basically, for all intents and purposes, what is the same as your chakra or as your reactor. It takes some of your nen, and the more you use it, and the more the time passes, the lower the amount of nen you can use, and then it locks it from. There's all different kinds of things. I couldn't even dream to explain it to you, but it's basically you can like physically manifest abilities based on your personality traits across a whole spectrum across every spectrum that you can imagine, from like music to art. It doesn't even have to be necessarily for like actually fighting purposes. Like some people just have, like, if you make a good piece of art, or something you've worked on, or like someone's like looking for pieces to auction in there, like items that they can auction. The guy's like asking him how he picks them, and he's just like, oh, I can just see that they've got some nen. So it's just usually something you can impart it in all different kinds of ways.
Interesting. Cool. All right. So for all in agreement, then S, let's do it. Our first S rank.
What's great about it is it's built up on like, you get the basic rules down of what your aura is and the different ways that you can use it, and it's all built on these foundational rules that make sense. They get more and more depth, they introduce more things, and then there's sort of 6 different affinities you can have, different ways to combine those affinities, different ways to bring your personality into it. But it feels like it's on these rules. Then it's not just like Bleach, where people literally pull powers completely out of their arse, like no sense whatsoever sometimes. It all makes sense, and it enables the creativity, but without sacrificing consistency. That's why I go top. Yes.
Love
Yeah,
that.
that foundation. If you look at Togashi's pages explaining all of these principles in which the powers are founded on, it's like reading a textbook, man.
It's thought out. It's clearly thought out, planned through from the beginning. There's no like, well, maybe there is, but I don't think there is like no hacky level introduction halfway through. Actually, this is how the power really works. I think it does build off this base foundation that they laid early on.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's move on to Dragon Ball Z. So what is the power structure in Dragon Ball Z?
So it's like when it started in Dragon Ball, it was all very just like classically combat orientated karate, kung fu style, and then like they introduced the ki blasts, which was kind of the fantastical element, and then towards the end there was like flying and manipulating your energy in that sense. But the basic premise is that it's the ki as the base unit of energy, the internalized energy that everyone has, and then after the Dragon Ball series ended and it moved into the realm of Dragon Ball Z, is when it really came into its own and became the cultural phenomenon in the West that we all was introduced to. I'm sure you've seen the Super Saiyan and the many versions of. What most people were introduced to Dragon Ball Z was the episodes of charging up and the transformation. And then later in the show, it would have been like the joining of characters as well to get power boosts. That's kind of that's my familiarity with Dragon Ball Z.
I think it's pretty basic as power structures go. I don't know if you can hold that against Dragon Ball Z, because it probably was the earliest out of all the ones we're talking about. But
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty basic standard. There were power levels that were literally just a number, and they got higher the stronger you got. It's not that creative. And Super Saiyan, was really cool. I enjoyed it when I watched it, and it is an iconic sort of transformation. Again, it's very basic. It's kind of like in One Piece when you've got different gears, gear 1, gear 2, gear 3. They're going up, but I feel like there's a big difference at each. And that's just one guy's one fruit. That Super Saiyan was the only thing that happened really for a lot of the main characters. I think it was that creative. Like it was consistent, but I don't think it's that creative. Yeah,
I guess we need to agree on like whether or not we're going to give Dragon Ball Z points for being like being there first, right? It's they create these iconic transformation kind of power abilities, and you can see Dragon Ball Z's impact across so many different animes, and maybe now it's kind of worn a bit thin. So are we all comfortable with maybe not giving it more points for being there first, or do you feel like we need to give it a bit more points for being there first? What do you think?
Do you know what? I would have given it like maybe not so much on the creativity scale because it's pretty one-dimensional, but then I would have given it more points for consistency because you know what you're getting, and it's always going to be an exciting fight, and it kind of builds linearly like throughout the show until like recently in Dragon Ball Super, and they just had like these weak source characters. They had like Krillin, like this like bald-headed midget that's just a background character. Used to be the sickest guy, but now background character. And staying like equal footing with Goku in a fight when he was like Super Saiyan, or maybe even further. And it's just like, what is going? Oh, they had Master Roshi as well in a fight in the Tournament of Power, and he's just this old wrinkly guy, and he should be so far down the pecking order, so far down the totem pole. And the power consistency has just gone to shit. So yeah, creativity is bland, and execution consistency is also not so great.
Where would you put it?
I'd put it at the bottom.
Yeah, third tier, trash tier.
Trash tier. Wow.
Yeah, man. Being strict, but I don't even think it gets the consistency bonus because everything up Frieza maybe, but then I lost what was going on with the power levels from Cell onwards, and the Buu saga was just I don't know what strength anyone was meant to be, and I think they did either they were just keeping their sharps went along. So much as I do love Dragon Ball Z and it is iconic, but the way we're judging it's got to go on.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we've got a spicy finale, and I kept this one spicy. It's Fullmetal Alchemist. Fullmetal Alchemist.
Fullmetal Alchemist.
Okay, I mean the power structure is in the name. It's alchemy. But does anyone want to talk about how alchemy is used in Fullmetal Alchemist and their thoughts?
Who did Chimera's better, Hunter x Hunter or Fullmetal Alchemist?
Tough question. That's the next part. We'll discuss that.
So Fullmetal Alchemist, I think, is in Fullmetal Alchemist. It's I think it's probably for me. It's like near the top, if not again on S tier. The whole system is built on graft, on hard work, nobody just has powers in it. Everybody has to like, you have to study, you have to work, you have to develop them. Like it's like it's basically like, instead of like having technology in the world we live in now, they have like they have alchemy. So it's not, they never over egg it. Everyone's powers is explained. Everyone's no one has like a crazy array of, I have all the abilities. Everything is very specific. I don't even think that, I think it's the best scaled. Like the whole power system itself is based on equivalent exchange.
Okay, so that's what alchemy means.
By its very nature, there's
so if you have a rock, you can turn that rock into
whatever is inside the rock.
Okay.
And you can reconstitute it and you can rechange it, but you can't make it into something that's not there. And that's basically how the whole power system works. Like, the alchemy is based on presenting certain conditions and then meeting them and then returning something back. And that's how it is for basically everything. So obviously there's people who have different abilities and have more power, but even the way they explain it through everyone having like a gate and like information that they like, it's all very well explained. Basically, there's no one running around doing crazy things for no reason that you can't explain. Like everything's got its place.
From what Hassan said, like the execution and consistency, I would agree is S tier. It's so like, it's so, you know exactly what to expect. You're not disappointed. It's a good watch, and the power system is solid. But if you compare it to, if you kept it in S and you compare it to the creativity of Hunter x Hunter, for context, because you haven't seen it, Raf, like one of the arcs in Hunter x Hunter, because like some of the other arcs, all of the arcs are like wildly different. Like there's there's a standard tournament arc in which it's just fighter versus fighter, and it's pretty standard but super compelling nevertheless. Then like the most recent arc would have been like a crazy opera of like end of the world alien spawn-esque taking over doomsday scenario. And then just slap bang in the middle, there's this arc where some of these older guys made an entire world inside a PlayStation using the power structure. And they made this game in which it was essentially a Yu-Gi-Oh clone, and there was 100 different cards that all had different magic spells. The base like power system was almost forgotten because it had such a focus on these like magic cards. Absolute insanity. Like
it is.
Yeah.
That's great. Incredible.
And like the arc preceding this, to get to get a copy of this game to start this arc was like a mafia-esque Godfather type storyline, like in a gritty New York-esque city, like completely different. But yeah, magic cards and Yu-Gi-Oh esque platform game, sick madness.
Damn. Okay, that's
Alchemist, they have a metal power, they have a fire power, they have some lightning power.
Yeah, and you know what? We did criticize elements previously.
I do like the sort of the back end of the FMA stuff with equivalent exchange and the way that the powers work, and like you have all the transmutation circles, and everyone does it a slightly different way. Although maybe it isn't. Well, I don't think it is quite as creative as Nen in Hunter x Hunter, which just goes absolutely wild. But I don't know. Feel Hush put in FM below, because it just works so well. Anime as a whole, so good because of it. The way they establish it, the way that they like push the boundaries at the very start, fuck themselves over by going too far and not treat alchemy with respect. So they lose, bodies and shit, and that this all a way to the exploration of it to try and figure out a way back. Great plot.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. I feel like anytime a power structure is good is when part of the story is characters testing the rules. So like you're saying at the start where they're inexperienced, the protagonists, and they meddle with alchemy in like a dangerous way, and it's almost like the power structure itself is informing the storyline rather than there's a storyline and there's this power structure that exists within it, right? I quite like that as a premise, and I feel like maybe that's it can get more points on that end. I've got a question. Unless anyone wants to just speak about Fullmetal Alchemist in isolation, I've got a question, because right now Fullmetal Alchemist occupies the same space as the Devil Fruit in One Piece. Now, are we saying these are equal?
We're just talking of like in terms of like the full-on, creative aspect. I'd still like to go back to Fullmetal Alchemist just because I think I think it's hard to put it on the same level as the Nen, just because the Nen is so all encompassing in Hunter x Hunter. But in terms of like the way they thread it into the story, whereas in the other ones sometimes it's like the way they scale it is detracts from it. Because for me, with all of these, like the power system is like basically the center of the universe, and that's how they live in and die in my eyes. It's like, because all the ones, like honestly, like Dragon Ball Z, I haven't really even watched it that much because I was just like this. Like again, there's no stakes and there's no drama when like anyone can do anything, and like there's no real and actual tension. Whereas with the ones which are near the top, there's repercussions. And that's what the alchemy is all about. So like, I mean, if we're saying that it's like just not creative as a power system, like I don't even think you can argue that when you've got like the way that it gets applied when people are making like chimeras. It's not just a case of like have some fire, have some smoke. Here you go. Like they're talking about like, and I think the equivalent exchange really is really the point of most of the thing. It grounds it very well. So for me, it's got to go back up. Because if you're saying it's not creative as a power system, then I think you're basically saying that the anime, like you don't even like, you shouldn't even really like the anime that much to me. Which or the manga, because that's what the whole thing is about, is the power system. Like the whole story is built around the power system, how the power system works, there's no point where it slips and you're just like, that didn't make sense, or you've gone back on yourself there. Everything was wrapped up neatly, which I think is the reason that they're able to do this, because with the short when they've got a shorter runtime of episodes of the manga, they don't get drawn into like these like long played out like power games and like scaling them up infinitely. They just wrap them up neatly. Everything makes sense. Like you can go back, if you go back and read it, honestly, it scales up perfectly. The timing of it's perfectly. I don't know if we can put it at anything, because for me it's a S tier manga and S tier Shonen Jump manga and S tier power system as well.
Wow.
I think we need a tie break from Jack then. If Hassan's saying it's an S and I'm saying it's an A,
I'm leaning towards the S. I like story where you get the magic system or the power system explained to you at the start, and everything else happens within those established parameters, which I kind of think it does, rather than just pulling something out your ass halfway through, which kind of is what Hacky's for One Piece, where like, I didn't think this through all the way and I need to change some things. And Naruto down the list, it's like, all right, Siege Mode, that's the thing now. Okay, there's another level of powers. There's a whole nother eye that you know about. It's just making up to suit story. Whereas FMA, it laid out the foundation and stuck with it the whole way through. There's never any time that I can remember where they just put out a whole fresh new part of the power system. So I'd say yes.
All right. So here's our tier list. Now, before we wrap this up, have we done anyone dirty? Have we overrated anyone? Thoughts?
I want to take a look here at the bottom levels and ask the hard question: Is Bleach really as bad as Dragon Ball Z?
I'd may put Bleach and Naruto up each personally.
Yeah, Bleach isn't as bad as Dragon Ball Z, because I can watch Bleach and I can't really watch Dragon Ball Z.
What about Bleach and Naruto? Like, are we convinced Naruto's better than Bleach? Like, are they the same?
I think it's better. I got to keep it up there. Like, I love some of the early Bleach character designs and creativity, and I remember being hyped to find out people's bangai. But there's not enough substance behind it as a power structure. Naruto's better.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think the reason I like dislike them both, and the reason I think they failed both, is for the same reason, which is like when the main character is powered like that, I feel just everything else falls apart basically.
Yeah,
like, everything else is basically now relative to that. Like the rest of you might as well have a power system, and then you've got your protagonist who the rules don't matter for. And I just think when powering up and training is such a big part of the fucking story, if that bit is off key, they do have the Sharingan, which I love. So I can't put them the same as Bleach.
Okay, Healy.
I'm like flip flopping between the two. I'm like, Bleach is great and Naruto is great. There's one that deserve to be above the other. Like they both have these like glaring faults. Like
Yeah,
I used to love watching Naruto lose his mind when he uses his like Nine Tails power. Like his skin was
that's
literally
true.
like melting off his body, and he was gonna rip someone's head off and piss in their skull or whatever. But then by the end of the series, he was just like this happy-go-lucky guy, friends with his Nine-Tailed Fox, unlimited power battery.
Beasts, I don't even think were like. I don't even think they were that that good. It's like they were just firing a bunch of fireballs. I don't know. I'm being too critical, but I don't think I am. I think that it is. I think in Naruto it's a bit played out.
I think you all make good points. I would have liked to seen. I mean, maybe it's already happened, but I would have liked to see in one of these power structures being so damn beautiful that it can surpass something that's structurally better than it. But but let's not force it if that's not the case. One thing I will say, for what you're telling me, chakra in Naruto does just feel like quote unquote magic. Do you know what I mean? It's like I have magic energy running through me. Whereas I feel like Bankai, at least just the Bankai element, I can't speak on the other ones, there's almost this kind of, it's in relation or confined to like your weapon, your sword, right? Or like you got this move, right? And it's almost a bit like wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Every wrestler's got like a finisher. And that extent, although incredibly basic, is like, it's universally appealing. Everyone loves that, right? Whereas Naruto, we can name moves, right? We can name the Sharingan. But like I feel like in Bleach, like you almost can't name a character without mentioning their move. And that's also quite an achievement as well.
No, I think it's because in Bleach, it's because there's like so little actual meat on the bone. You're like you're forced to attach yourself to things like that for
right.
meaning.
the story are the moves.
But they've honestly, I don't think they've got. I don't think Bleach and I think Naruto's it's like actually one level above Bleach. But
okay,
yeah, I think so. I do think so because there's no moves in Bleach which are like particularly like nuanced or like oh that's great. Even like the Shikai for Aizen is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous, and it's a detriment to the story because just like it's like it sounds good on like paper. It's like it can make anyone believe or do what they say. It's like oh no, actually that's actually what it can do anytime, and I've been doing it for 100 years. And it's just like, all right, sweet. Like I don't know. There's some stupid stuff in it. You could never find something as nuanced. I do love the Sharingan. So I think for me, best move across all the animes. I just love it.
Wow.
Got great rules, great limitations. Like you have to take your brother's eyes to get the good one. Like that's some real shit. We're not messing around.
If Naruto, the entire power structure of Naruto was just Sharingan or no Sharingan, would this be like an S tier for you?
If it was all based on similar things like that, for sure. Like if everything else was on that same system, like even there's a move in it where it's like you can even change reality once, but you lose your eye forever. Like there's at least it's got like it's a ridiculous move, but it's like the thing it's based on is like some great Japanese folklore. Definitely worth reading. Read on all the Uchiha moves. They're all like based on like good stories from Japanese folklore. I'll even give them that. Like I'm sure that stuff in Bleach isn't based on anything. I bet you.
Oh man, that's random shit. Like Ichigo himself, like his powers, they're boring. His Bankai gets smaller and he gets faster. He just looks kind of cool, and he just tries for a while and does bigger, gets a 10 show most of the time throughout the series. That's all.
And you're sure you don't want to move this down back to the next level of the bottom level? Are you sure?
It's still got more creativity than Dragon Ball Z, I think.
Okay. No. So we were happy with the list then, yeah?
Yeah, the list is solid, man.
It's a good list.
Like, I'll accept it in it, but like I made my feelings be known on the Bleach question. Like at least like Dragon Ball Z had like an excuse for having like a bit of a like dead story. They weren't like copying anyone else. These people copying other people still could only make it like slightly better. So,
So true.
like, I don't know. I just like, to be honest though, I couldn't really watch. I couldn't watch Dragon Ball Z now, and I could watch Bleach now. So maybe it is.
That's a good point. Cool.